Hi, I'm Gita Jonstetter from Muuse. I'm here to talk about a project that I'm working on with a small group of people here in Copenhagen. Like most women, I'm moderately interested in clothing and couture, but I'm actually even more interested in design entrepreneurship and how young designers can go into business for themselves, and that's what I'll really focus on today. And there's never been a better time in history, I think, for young designers to start businesses. So we're pretty excited to be part of that. If you think back about 300 years ago, it wasn't that hard for people to go into business. Pretty much if you wanted to make something, if you wanted to buy anything, you went down to the person who made it. They also designed it. You kind of, if you wanted clothing, you went down to the tailor. You know, all the production was there. The customers were nearby. At some point, people realized, well, if we started mechanizing some of this, we could produce more things. We could ease it a lot, sell to more customers. And then designers happened. Actually, before we started mechanizing production and separating it, there was no such thing as a designer. What happened then is, and this is a really quick history of the Industrial Revolution, but at that point, things started to separate and go global, and suddenly you end up with designers sitting in one place, production sitting someplace else, customers all around the world, and it's really hard to figure out kind of what people want. Suddenly the customers are really far from the people who are making things for them. Fast forward to now, and it becomes really risky to actually produce things. If you take a risk on new design, you're not risking just not selling one thing. You may end up with 20,000 of something that's going to be recycled. So it means it's really difficult for young designers to kind of break in with new ideas, because to actually be part of that system, you have to kind of be into you have to understand how to get things produced. You have to find buyers. You have to go out and be part of this whole huge global dispersed network. And it's expensive and it's difficult. Well, there's another industrial revolution happening now. And I think we're only starting to realize how much power we have as individuals. The fact that we can get in touch with people all around the world. We can find production. We can find our fans. We can find suppliers. We can find people who want to write about, people who want to share about it, share our images. And suddenly that whole chain of sort of expertise that you need to get involved in business becomes a lot simpler. You can find people online. You can take orders there. You can actually, there are services who will deliver the product and services to take payment. But there's a couple of things really still missing. And the main huge thing missing really is production. There are shops out there, and you know, if you're making things and want to sell them, they're great opportunities. Etsy in the US, Dewanda in Europe. There's a relatively new one called Fab, which is basically for producers of small items to sell out. But none of them actually help you make the things. And it's a huge hole in what's out there, because ultimately, if you're making it yourself, you're kind of creating a pre-industrial revolution business, sewing or making whatever you're making at night and trying to sell it in a post-industrial way. People talk a lot about local craft, and I think that's great too, and all the sewing rooms and making studios that are popping up everywhere. But ultimately, if you're making it all yourself, it doesn't really add up to a living wage. So most people who start businesses that way don't keep at it very long. There are a number of really interesting businesses opening up who kind of cover the full spectrum and also cover production. Pinocchio is a really interesting one, where people can either contribute plans for things, can have things made, or buy made things. The really radical thing about the systems that are out there is that if you look at how businesses work now, it usually starts with a concept, a thing. You try to produce it, you promote it, and then it finally gets the customer with a lot of investment in between. With the new things that are on the net, you can actually go the reverse. So you can show things, take orders, sell it, and then produce it. And that's basically what Muuse is about. We're focusing on fashion, but we pool our resources so we get the best production, the best deals on textiles, the best tailors, and then we produce the samples, show them, and when people order them, then we produce them. We are pretty much a global group at this point. We are about 12 people in Copenhagen. We have a couple people in London. The designers are sitting all around the world. Our tailors are here, and we're producing ready-to-wear in other places in Europe. Yeah, in Copenhagen, we have production management, of course. We also have photography of some of the samples that we produce here. We have web design, technical development, and marketing and PR team. So it's a pretty diverse organization. I actually need a lot of skills to cover the range of services that we provide. The way that designers work with Muuse is basically that we scout them. We invite them onto Muuse. We upload collections that are based on the pieces that they made for their final collections at school. If somebody orders a piece, we'll make it tailor-made. And then we collaborate with a designer to get a ready-to-wear prototype done. And this is a piece that's kind of ready for production. So, for example, in the lower row, you'll see pieces that are tailor-made. These are, very kind of one-off pieces. On the upper row are pieces that are kind of ready for larger scale production. If we get 20 orders, then we go into production. We get a better deal on producing 100 at a time. So right now what we have is a very much kind of a test the waters model for designers, where it costs them nothing. They give us great imagery. We take care of the rest. As we build Muuse over the next year or so, we'll grow this into another level for designers. They can start to take more ownership. You could build a business with us. That was really short. So if you have questions, shoot me an email. Check out our website, muuse.com. Yeah, thanks.